My name is Luca Pretolesi. We are in Las Vegas at Studio DMI with Plugin Alliance. Today, I'm very excited about a brand new plugin. It's called Tantra 2 by DS Audio. I want to thank my good friend Xander for this track Rolling. Perfect scenario for reshaping the arrangement and the creative side of mixing with Tantra 2. The plugin is very straightforward. It's just one plugin with 7 effects multiplied twice. So we have A and B channel. The way I like to think is the A is more on the rhythmic side. I can create pattern. I can do also with B, but I like to use B more for static approach. So I'm a mixing and mastering engineer. So I like to think about what I can improve from the mixing side and how I can be creative at the same time. Let's run some example. I have a pattern on this track where I'm using distortion with automation inside of the pattern. We have several modulation points that we can use, and we're gonna use one at the beginning of each kick to run some drive, and then we're gonna do a modulation 2, essentially, same distortion, but running a little bit the color and the fuzz every time you hit like a snare. I'm applying this on the drum bass, but I'm leaving the kick drum outside of my drum bass. All right, let's play some music.
We roll. We roll.
Sweet. So I like to enhance the snare. So the question might be, well, why you don't just run a plugin just on the snare? It's not the same thing. When you're running a plugin that's like a rhythmical element movement with saturation on the context on the entire drums, the effects is very different. The result we are getting is way more organic. So the interesting fact about the modulations that we have here, every modulation we can apply can have a different speed, a different length. We can randomize to get some interesting ideas. So let me go through like the process of me trying to be creative and have the actual plugin give me some input, some ideas I can actually apply on my own mix. So I'm running a pluck through the drum bass to get a rhythmical effect with the drums. Now, the interesting fact with today DAWs that we can pretty much automate any element of the plugin. So even the on and off of the modulation can be automated. This means we can run 4 bars of the 8 bars without any type of modulation, any type of rhythmical effect. And then on the second part of the drop, we can start to open different modulation points. I can also duplicate the same modulation to do different effects. So in this case, I'm using modulation 3 to open up. Let's check modulation 3. To open up in a rhythmical way, the level of glitch and the level of reverb at the same time. And I can have different ratio between the two. I can have more reverb or less reverb versus the glitch. So let's go through that. Just focus on the way the reverb open up. And also let's check if I change the speed. Let's check. So I can run 1/8, I can run 1/16 and have different feel. And the combination and the movement, it's happening because I'm changing the glitch and the reverb sync at the same time. Now let's make it very subtle, very low into the mix. right? So let's go a little deeper into the actual plugin. I just want to highlight a few things that I really like, very impressed about. So we have A and B, so 7 and 7 module. Those 7 plus 7 can run parallel or can go serial. This means if you look at the bottom, the routing, we can go serial or parallel. This is really nice. This means we can duplicate or we can, in a more creative way, run one into the other one. We also have a clipper. Now, the clipper, if you think about it, we are gaining a lot of dynamics, a lot of spikes through multiple plugins. So be able to clip at the end and make sure we're not going over, I think is very functional. Also, as a purpose as far as the sound, I just want to highlight something that I really like. Beside the distortion with automation, you can see the blue line. Those blue lines is literally automations on the pattern that we are doing. But as a static distortion, to create some thickness, I was very impressed about this crisp preset. So I'm gonna play the loop again and just focus on the thickness that I'm getting from the distortion. I'm gonna gain stages, so I'm gonna get a little bit more distortion, and then I'm gonna lower the output to match the input. Check it out.
Rolling. We rolling.
Very nice. Let's run also the kick drum through that. So now we can get also a kick drum being processed by the clipper, in this case by distortion. Check it out.
We rolling. We rolling.
Let's pull it out again. Let's go straight into stereo bus. Now, follow up on that, we have two stages that can be the end of the chain, if you think it that way, or it can be even automated. One is reverb, one is an EQ. It's a simple 5-band EQ, but very musical. And the way you can flip, essentially do reverb, post EQ, or pre-EQ. You can simply flip with your mouse. I like to use the reverb before EQ and have the EQ stage kind of like the final chain. If you think about it, as on the analog domain, you have a patch bay with a lot of piece of gear. You are placing your EQ before the clipping. Very, very effective. All right, let me move for a second the Tantra from the center of the DAW. I just want to highlight an interesting way to automate reverb, especially for buildups. So, as you can see, focus on the knob on the reverb part on the plugin. So when I create an automation, essentially going to dry to wet, I still have the automation trigger by the modulation, essentially 3, internally. So what that means is I can automate going from dry to wet, but at the same time, I keep triggering those spikes that I decide to do. So let's check that.
We rolling. We rolling.
Right? So now we want to snap to 0 and go back to no reverb. I really like this type of effects of building. And so the kick drum is out of the chain. The rest has been filtered through that. All right, so when I automate the reverb, I'm not taking away the second automation that I've triggered by the pattern. It's very, very powerful. And then if I decide to now add additional automation, it's endless. It's really based on ideas and arrangement and production. Essentially, I have two sides of automation. One is more rhythmical, pattern-based, and one is more automated by the DAW.
Rolling.
The level to automation is endless. It's just based what the DAW allow me to do, and with Tantra 2, it's pretty much everything. Everything that I see on the GUI can be automated. I strongly recommend to approach Tantra as a plugin that is a borderline sound design and mixing. When I say mixing, mixing is a very big word. You can go from the creative to technical. I think this is an opportunity to treat the mixing stage as a final opportunity to be creative. Have fun.